As a newer real estate agent, meeting other agents, I'm constantly asked the question, how many times did it take you to pass the real estate exam? And it only took me one time. When I tell people that, I get a lot of oohs and ahs. And then the more people I talk to, I realize that actually a lot of people have difficulty with this studying process. And I did right away too. My first week studying for the exam was terrible. I was feeling no progress. I was feeling really frustrated, really getting down in the dumps. I was 12 years removed from any formal education. And I think a lot of people that go to get their real estate license, they are as well. It's been a long time since they've been in a classroom setting or been in an online class setting. And some of them are a lot older than me even, where maybe it's been 30 or 40 years. So going back to school, learning all this new stuff, and then taking a test over it is actually kind of an intimidating process for a lot of people. But I figured out a few keys right away after that first week of struggle that really helped me. So here are 3 keys for you to help you pass the real estate exam. The first one was figure out your preferred method of study. So for me, I was always the kid in class, even though it's been a long time since I've taken a class. I was always the kid that if I wasn't fully engaged, my mind was somewhere else, or I was screwing around in the back of class. So I knew that going to a classroom setting wasn't going to be something that was going to benefit me when I'm trying to study for the real estate exam. So I chose the online route because then I could be self-timed, self-guided. I also found a little bit of trouble with that self-guided part, which I'll talk about with the next tip. But figure out your preferred method of study. Do you want to study online? Do you want to study with an instructor? Some people like that person-to-person interaction, and those instructors have a lot of valuable information. They've dealt with people that have taken the exam multiple times, and so they know the areas where people have difficulty, and they know what they know what you might have difficulty with. So they're able to kind of help you out along the way. If that's something that appeals to you, absolutely jump in that classroom setting. For me, that wasn't going to work. I couldn't focus in that setting, so I didn't do it. I chose online. It took me about 5 weeks from the time I started the online classes until the time I tested out of the course, and that was fine. That's the time frame I wanted. I didn't set a specific time frame starting out. I figured a month or two, and then as I dove in, I realized that I could knock it out in 5 weeks. First of all, the first week was really frustrating, and I think this is where a lot of people struggle with. When I was studying online the first week, I was trying to do it casually. I was trying to do it in 10-minute increments here and there. You know, do it while I'm watching a basketball game, or while I'm eating dinner or lunch, or while I'm playing with the dog. And those 10-15 minutes of studying just weren't really sinking in. So that is the second tip I have for you, is set aside blocks of time, because really when it boils down to it, we're talking about some pretty boring information here. We're talking about definitions, we're talking about grantors and grantees and learning all the various distinctions. It's not that entertaining of information. It's not that entertaining of a class for a lot of people, unless you're a contract nut. But then you're not watching this video because you're not struggling at all. You knocked it out. You're taking the real estate class. You love it. But that's the second thing that helped me. Block out some blocks of time. Take 2-3 hours. For me, one of the keys was going to a coffee shop. I have pets. I have a dog, a Jack Russell. He's crazy. I love him to death, but he doesn't allow you to study. If you're hanging around the house, he wants your attention. So I had to get the heck out of here, block out some time where I could go really dig in, dedicate myself to the information. So figure out your preferred method of study, block out some time, and then the third tip I have is test early and test often. One of the things I did is I bought another study guide, a $20 study guide book, because it had 7 or 8, maybe even like 10 other exams, practice exams inside of it. So I had probably 15 to 20, and there's all sorts of practice exams out there. one of the things I'd suggest is even as early as your first or second week of studying, start to test over the material. And it's going to be frustrating early on, and that's okay. It's going to be really frustrating. Early on, I was getting in the 40s, 50s, 60s in the percentage-wise on these tests, and I was a little bit discouraged, but one of the things I did was just keep on taking the practice tests. And for me, that was a key. Being removed from school, removed from any kind of testing like this for quite a while, it was key just to jump in and start to relearn how to take the tests. Because a lot of times I was getting answers because I was misreading questions, I was misreading answers, I was rushing, I was losing focus. So learning how to test was really key for me. And then I gained one other big valuable bit from all of this, and that is you don't know what you don't know. So when I was testing, I was really able to figure out, okay, these are the sections I'm having success with. I'm testing in the 80s, 90s on these tests and quizzes. But then the other areas where I'm struggling with now, I can just reread those notes, reread that chapter, go back through, maybe even watch a class, look up some definitions, do whatever I need to do to get clear on the questions I missed. Then I come back the next day, the next week, and I'm testing at a higher percentage. In Nevada, you only have to get 75%. You have to get it on both the national and the state section. But 75%. When I was in grade school, in high school, that was a D+. We're not talking about that stringent of standard here, but we are talking about boring information, and we're talking about people that are removed from formal education. So figure out your preferred method of study, block out some time, test early and test often. You can do this. I hope this video helped you. I know you can do it. If you have any questions, if you'd like to know the materials I used, drop me a comment. I'd love to help. Any questions? I can't give you specific information off the test, obviously, but anything I can do to help you out, to help you, to show you what I did along the way. I hope these 3 tips really help. You can do this thing. Go get it done.